Hello, everyone. It's a story from Diaspora. And today we'll be chatting with Miss Chika Duruaku. Hello, Miss Chika. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
Good afternoon. It was my pleasure.
Thank you so much. So, just because of time, we're just going to go straight. So, Miss Chika, Miss Duruaku, sorry, would like to know more about you. Please introduce yourself. Who are you? What you do? Where you from?
Okay, I am Mrs. Chika Duruaku. Uh, I live in New York City and I teach here in New York City. I'm a chemistry teacher actually um, in a school in Harlem. Um, yeah, I'm also a writer. I'm also a writer and a Nigerian. So I've been staying in the United States for about 5 years now. I'm married with children.
That's interesting. So, would like to know you're from Nigeria, you said. What part of Nigeria?
I'm from Imo State.
You're from Imo State. Okay. We hear a lot about Nigerians, and most of the time, not pleasant things. But you and I know Nigeria is a beautiful place with great people. So, I would like to know about your country, most especially the Igbo culture.
Yeah, Nigeria is quite a big place, with different geopolitical zones. So I'm from the southeast, and Nigeria has got a rich culture, actually. It's got a rich culture. So coming from the southeast, yeah, we have the Igbo tribe mainly. I speak Igbo very well. It's my native language. And we have different cultures, quite rich assortment of it, ranging from the way we dress.
Yeah.
Okay, the ladies, they tie two wrappers normally, and the gentlemen, they tie wrapper at the bottom and wear ishiago, top. And our foods are also unique to our culture.
Mm-hmm.
You come to an Igbo person's house, you're served with kola nuts, the kola nut depicting, the culture of welcome. The person has actually welcomed you to his house by offering you kola nuts, Igbo kola nuts, because we have the Hausa kola nut, which is totally different from ours. Yeah, so the Hausa kola nut it's usually got two loops, but the Igbo kola nut's got several loops, and you can just break them off into like 5 pieces, you know. So we have other dishes apart from the kola nut, which is typically used to receive a visitor, a visitor that you accept into your house. We also have different foods. We have oba, which they call African salad.
Yeah.
We have starfish. That's our delicacy. Starfish, which is actually dried fish.
Yeah.
Then we also have akidi, locust bean. These are the very local foods, you know, that we identify with the Igbo heritage.
Well, that's interesting. And about the
Yeah.
kola nuts, I never knew there are different kind of kola nuts. That's so interesting. Yeah, talking about food. On Saturday, just last Saturday, the Igbos in New York celebrated the New Year Festival. What's
Oh, that's
something you
okay.
can say of that celebration?
Unfortunately, I just heard it from you now. So basically, the New Yam Festival is a very, very interesting one. They call it Iriji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my hometown, which is Mbise, it's notable for that culture of celebrating the New Yam Festival, which comes up every 15th of August.
Oh,
Yeah, so of course, apart from the preamble of inviting the Indiezets and the breaking of cola nuts, and of course with palm wine to go with it, we now have the cutting of the yam. It's done ceremoniously. Somebody will be invited to do that. And after breaking and sharing of cola nuts, that's what now follows the cutting of the yam. And the yam, of course, is roasted, done the rural way. You roast the yam and with a knife close by and some oil and pepper on the side with some dried meat. That completes the whole tableau. So
that's
the
interesting.
celebration goes on. Yeah.
I'm already salivating. Yeah, you see, Nigeria has such a beautiful culture, but we don't get to hear about this. But it's
Yeah.
good that we are hearing it from in Nigeria, and I believe so many people want to explore this. So you introduce yourself as a teacher, and you teach in a school. You teach chemistry in a school in New York.
Yeah.
What's it like teaching in New York?
It's been quite some experience though. Yeah, because I've actually taught different levels, starting with the kindergarten up to the 12th grade. So, and in different schools in New York. So I've actually been exposed to different populations, different people. It's a diverse community, the different schools, because
Yeah.
New York is made up of, people coming from different places in the world, from Asia, from Africa, from North America, from Europe, from different places. They just come together and they find themselves in some institutions, schools included. So it's a diversity out there, composed of people that speak different languages. We have the English learners, and we have the different cultures, that these students bring along with them, and you have to accommodate that, okay, when you're dealing with them, knowing that they're coming from different places, the way you plan your lessons, the way you give out the instructions in the classroom, it's got to be inclusive in the sense that you actually recognize
To respect their culture.
the
Yeah.
different diverse groups, recognize their needs. So you implement that in your lesson planning and in your instruction. So it's a lot. You have to consider all that. So it's not only in giving instruction, it's not just straightforward. You have to accommodate them, okay? These different diverse groups. You accommodate them, you modify your instruction, you use materials, you use different teaching aids to make sure that at the end of the lesson, your objectives have been achieved. So that's what you set out for. So I've been exposed to these different
let me
groups
ask
of
you,
students.
were you into teaching back home in Nigeria?
Yeah, I've been teaching for quite a long time, right
So
from Nigeria.
teaching has been your passion.
It's been my passion
So
always.
what inspires you to teach? I mean, and you weren't even discouraged, because back in Nigeria, I know they used to say this word that teachers' reward is in heaven because they don't get paid, that much. So first, what inspired you to go into teaching? And then secondly, with all your knowledge back in Nigeria and then coming here to experience something differently entirely, I believe the teaching the educational system is far different from what it is back home. So if you are given the opportunity to go back to Nigeria, and restructure the educational system, what will you be bringing to the table?
Yeah, as you said it, teaching has always been my passion. And what actually spiked that interest in teaching is the sense of, giving out instruction, knowing that when you're giving that instruction, it benefits somebody. And also watching other teachers, because my teachers, a lot of them have been role models to me. Okay, I can mention a few of them that have really inspired me to take up this profession. So it actually pleases me when I, give instruction to students, and at the end of the instruction, you generate feedback, positive feedback. That shows that, you've gained something at the end of the day. Something has been done. Somebody has benefited from what you have to give out. And knowledge has been shared. So when you have that, manifested in your career, what stops you from going on? So it's always been there. The passion has always been there, even though the mode of teaching in Nigeria, where I come from, is totally different from the way it's done here because of the culture, the nature of culture. Back home, we don't have a lot of, the groups, the population that you deal with, the students, they come from places where we share almost the same culture, okay? They may be from different tribes, but at least we have some, the denominator that kind of unites us, similarities in our culture. They don't differ much. So you don't have a lot to deal with. You don't have any issue about diversity to deal with. So instruction is usually more straightforward with, of course, some modifications, applied to make sure that, you generate positive feedback, positive learning outcomes, but it's usually much more straightforward than what you have here. All right, here in the United States, where you have lots of people coming from different places, I've mentioned already. So it's the way of teaching or giving instruction is totally different, where you're looking at both divides, Nigeria and here in the United States. So, but then the experience so far has been great. Okay, the experience has been great, and I've learned quite a lot coming over here. So I've added to my knowledge, my previous knowledge of what I know about teaching of a certain group, okay, compared to what I'm observing here, and I'm still learning. I'm still, in the process of, knowing new things, gaining new knowledge every day, and that keeps me going. And that's
So
quite
if
satisfying.
given the opportunity to
So
change
if I have
something
to, yeah.
about
So
the education,
back to your question. So I would like to give some tips, to my counterparts back in Nigeria on how to go about, delivering instruction in a classroom. Yeah, because based on what I've learned here, I found out that, the steps that a teacher should take in the classroom, establishing some routines that will contribute towards your achieving a positive learning outcome in the students is imperative. So what are the routines? You have to set a sort of classroom routine, the steps, the procedures that the students will, recognize and say, oh, the first thing this teacher does is she will tease us with a question of the day or a quote of the day that sets us thinking. It might be related to what we have. Then now comes the RTL, learning target. Of course, you place your learning targets so that the students get it, that at the end of the class, let's say you're studying something about states of matter, which is a topic in chemistry. So you say by the end of the lesson, I will be able to mention the different states of matter. So the student gets it. He knows or she knows that by the end of this lesson, this is what I should know. And of course, the teacher now goes forth to list out the RTL, ready to learn. What are the prompts? The prompts are usually the questions that would kind of, move towards the achieving of the learning target of the day. So the RTL right there stipulates the steps. What are the different steps that will guide the student towards achieving that learning target? So the RTL will be there like, what is matter? So the different types of matter or different states of matter, then classification of matter. So that kind of prompts you towards achieving the learning objective or the learning target. And how do you go about it? You supplement this with videos. If technology is readily available, video will help a lot. Then, of course, you prepare a sort of handout that will, present some graphic presentations. There should be graphic presentations. Graphic in the sense that you use some pictures that will, form a that will kind of form a solid structure in the student mind of what they're learning. Because if everything is all in print, you might lose them along the way. So you have to present some pictures that would annotate the different stages of instruction that will help them understand it. So sometimes we call it graphic organizers. The graphic organizers will help the student place the different states of matter. Oh, this is a gas. Of course, the student will see that it's a gas based on what you have, taught. The way the particles are arranged, all scattered and with wide distances between them. The student gets it, and the student will place the picture of that against where you have gas. So in pictorial presentation, as it were, so that the learning becomes easy. So there are different methods that you can use towards achieving that. Not the one of standing there and you rattle off everything on your own, no. So here, basically, if you have an hour of teaching, 15 minutes should be your own time of talking as the instructor, right? But then the remaining, if you have 15 minutes for talking, the remaining 45 minutes, the students should be doing something. That's how it is here. You don't take the floor. It's not teacher-centered. It's learner-centered. So you have to arrange your lesson plan in order to achieve this. Yes. So back home, most of the time, it's a teacher that takes the floor from beginning to end. You rattle off, say this or that. The students get tired. And of course, even though they learn something that way, but then it's a torturous process for them. But here, it's done systematically. Yeah. So here, it's just 10 minutes or 15 minutes of your talking, but then in talking, you group them, supervise what they're doing based on what's your directions. But then
that is why most of us will always hide. And that is why most of us will always hide in the bathroom during the master when have the mathematics classes, because it gets so boring and uninteresting.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. So we'll come back to that. Now let's get into the main business. So Ms. Duruaku, would like to hear your story about your journey to the diaspora. How and why you came to the United States of America to pursue your dream.
Well, yeah, I've always looked forward to, exploring my community that is going beyond the shores. of my home country, Nigeria. Yes. So coming out here has actually fulfilled, what I set out to achieve, career-wise, right? And intellectual-wise. So I can say I've gained a lot in the 5 years I've been here, learning about the culture, trying to understand the people in my community, the people I meet at my workplace, the people I interact with on a daily basis, how to speak to them. You have to modify your behavior to suit your environment. And it's actually been phenomenal for me. Okay, so coming out here has actually made me to learn a lot, a lot that you cannot even see in textbooks, right? So there's this danger of a single story proposed by Chimamanda. It's better that you come to a particular place to learn a culture of the people than for you to depend on the stereotypical views that, people carry about them. And say, oh, the Americans, they're like this, they're like that. They don't take life serious. Most of the time they're into music, entertainment, and things like that. That's not it. That's not the whole picture. So to get a complete picture, you come over here, interact with the people, know that there is more to what you hear from people, the way you label a certain group of people, a certain community, just from hearsay. That doesn't give you the true picture. You have to really come there, live with them, interact with them to get the whole picture. You know about their interests, about their families, how they raise their families. Then there is the issue of religion too, in terms of people have different religions here, even though that doesn't play a huge part in their life, of course. And because, like I said, the people in this country, they came from different places, so they share different values and all that. So it goes beyond what the labeling back home is. You don't say, oh, Americans, they're like this, they're into music, they're into that. There is a whole lot of them, or, a lot of values that are just here that you need to appreciate, you need to understand. And I've really got to know quite a lot of it. Okay, then there's this issue of, other, even though normally discussing it usually, it gives me, I'm really very particular about the way I discuss it, like the LGBTQ is there. We can't deny it. Okay, it's still part of their culture, but you don't have to, be judgmental about it. It's part of them. It's part of the culture. And well, what can I say? Then you go to different professions. So people, they take up 3 different professions, 2 or 3, and they keep going on. It's here that you can find somebody that studied law, but the person is into cuisine, that's chef, being a chef. But the person is a lawyer. I mean, the person studied law, knows about law. And it's here that you can find somebody that is in medical profession, knowing a little bit of engineering. Because if you come to the person's house, maybe if there is something wrong with a pipe somewhere, before you know, he's fixing it, but he's a medical doctor. So here, yeah, people have different, interests, and they pursue those interests as they come up. So they're not like stuck in one type of profession or in one type of interest. Somebody that is a teacher, let's say an English teacher, may develop a love for, let's say, the theater, or develop a love for the arts. It's diverse, or even math.
So let me ask you, I was starting out here for you.
I beg your pardon?
How was starting out here for you? How was it when you started out here? When you initially came to the country? How was it when you started out here?
Yeah, it was a bit rough, I must say.
Yeah. So what were those challenges you encountered when you started out?
Yeah, it was a bit rough for me because, first of all, like I said, it's the aspect of culture. There are some, you may step in a community, because when I got here, the first job I was doing was in retail, specifically in a store, Century 21. It's a fashion store like Macy's. Even though it's folded up now, they filed bankruptcy like 2 or 3 years ago, but I was with them like a year and a half, and I learned a lot, joining that community. It was rough at first, okay, not knowing, people's mannerisms, about, how you can go into conversation with somebody, you're having a conversation, and they can mention certain things. It could be an expression, maybe a slang, and somehow you'll be lost. You'll be like, oh, what are they saying? And if you don't get it, you kind of feel lost, and you kind of feels lost, and you stay on your own for the most part, because you don't want to do or say something out of turn, because you don't want to get on somebody's wrong side. You're avoiding that, basically. So it's really based on that. I can say it's been rough. At times they can tease you. Oh, where are you from? At least there's a way you behave. The spot immediately that you just got here, and they will be like, "Oh, where are you from? What part of Africa are you from?" And something there's always a giveaway. That this person hasn't been rooted in this community. The person is just a JJC. I think that's what they call it. The person just came. So there's always a giveaway. Something that, sets them off that, oh, this person is new to the community. And of course, you'll be feeling so self-conscious. You'll be like, oh, how did they know about that? And that kind of makes you to be extra cautious, because you don't want to say the wrong thing, or you laugh at something that you shouldn't laugh at, or things like that. So it was really a nice experience for me working at that retail store, because it exposed me to certain things that I never knew as a teacher way back in Nigeria. It's not something that you learn in school. They would teach you, but I get a lot of experience from there, because the different sections of the store, I just knew how to merchandise, that's lay out some goods, display them in such a way as to encourage customers to buy. I was like in charge of the home store, the home section, where you have the different items that you use at home. So in that case, in such a situation, I was able to note some items I may not have been familiar with originally, but now I'm familiar with them. The make, the ones that are very good, like we have the KitchenAid brand of utensils. Then we have the Ken Calon. There's a lot of them. We have lots of them, different brands. Then coming to wears, ladies, men's wears, the designer. Of course, if I see any designer label, something gives it. Usually, if I see a particular dress or a particular shirt, I will know straight off who designed it, because I've worked in the retail store, the fashion store. So that type of experience is not something you're taught in school, but it's from your coming in contact, with the fellow workers working in a particular place that exposes you to that kind of thing. So it's been a struggle, but then I'm over it now. I'm over it now, but yeah, I can say blending into the environment has been a little bit rough, but still I was able to move along and acclimatize to the changing environment.
Yeah, everyone have their stories, how they started out here. It's never easy, and that is part of why we're doing this program, to let people understand that, listen, it's not easy starting out here.
Yeah, so
A lot of
so just to reinforce what I said, don't reject any job that comes up for you when you're new here, because you don't know where that job will take you. The people you meet that will connect, oh, my friend, oh, you have a bachelor's, oh, and they'll be like, because they understand the situation, those asking you the questions, they know that most immigrants that come here, they're educated. A lot of them are educated, and they're doing jobs that they shouldn't be doing. They know that. So they'll be like, oh, okay, just let me have your number. And before you know it, the person is connecting you to some other place that is completely different, that will set you on the right path.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't reject any job that comes your way. It's a way of also experiencing the other part of life, which is also essential.
Yeah.
Which is also essential. Yes. Don't think that I don't call any job, demeaning, or every job has something to contribute to you, to build you up as an individual, so that you blend with the environment. So it's not good to
was actually going
reject any job.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, we have 10 minutes. I was actually going to ask you about your advice to those, who aspires, to come over here or travel to another country. Because I know it's the same experience all over the place, wherever you're going to, it's not easy anywhere, So, but first, what are the opportunities, for teachers or instructors or lecturers, back home in Nigeria or in other part of the world, who aspires, to come and start up a teaching career here? What are the opportunities for them here? And also, would just certificate and experience, would that be accepted, or would that pave any way for them, or there's some training they have to undergo for them to fit into the educational system, the teaching system here?
Yeah, for the lecturers, for the most part, if you're a lecturer and of course, you attend symposia, workshops, and things like that back in our place, and you want to come here, they will accept you with open arms. They'll welcome you with open arms. Okay. Be that as it may, I may not really have much experience, to tell you what happens to lecturers, those that would teach in colleges or universities when they get here, but they don't have any difficulty fitting in at all. They don't have any difficulty fitting in because they've reached the highest point in education career, which is teaching graduates and undergraduates as well. So when they come here, they're valued more than those that teach maybe from
Okay, so
kindergarten
what are
to
the
second
opportunities
grade.
for those
So,
that
but what
category?
happens? Yeah, so coming down to those that teach the lower levels of education, that's the educators, you have to undergo what they call teacher, preparation way. There's something they call pathway. What is the pathway fit for somebody with foreign credentials coming into the country?
Okay.
So you have to open a teach account first. That's the first thing, the first and foremost thing you have to do, and you also have to set up evaluating your credentials. Evaluating in the sense that we have some evaluators. There are firms that actually specialize in evaluating foreign credentials from different parts of the world. So they have different firms. I think there are about seven.
Like the West.
Seven that are really highly acceptable. They call them the NACES, NACES. So you have to go through them. So if you have the list of the NACES, those that belong to the NACES, the NACES it's like an umbrella where you have those that are actually highly recognized for doing that. And when they evaluate your transcript, you can use it for certification, maybe teaching certification or other certification in other disciplines. Yeah. So the evaluation coming from those groups of firms that form the umbrella NACES, they are acceptable. Their evaluations are acceptable. So that was what I did. I opened a teach account. You open a teach account, you have to have an account, a teach account, so that anybody that wants to employ you in a school will go there with your social security number, of course. The social security number, if you give the person your social security number, the person will now have access to your teach account. I don't know how they do it, but with your social security number, they have access to your teach account. Okay. So be it the HR from a school, maybe private school, charter school, or public school, the person goes there and sees what you have. And then if the person actually wants something, from you, the person may tell you, okay, now that you have this, and that, you now have to do a teacher program, or you take on a course in their colleges here, university here, to complete some credits that may be missing from your transcript. Okay. There should be so when they look at all you have in the teach account, they can tell you where you're deficient and the things you need to do so that you can get your initial certification. So when you get your initial certification, what comes next is professional certification. So for those coming from different countries, including our country, Nigeria, they have to open a teach account first, and they have to follow the prompts there. I want to apply for an initial certificate. They list out certain things, requirements you need to meet up with, including work experience, education experience, and of course, the transcripts you're submitting shouldn't be the raw ones from your university. Should be, so they should be the ones already evaluated by the institutions that I told you about that are responsible for evaluating foreign credentials. So you have to go through NACES, one of the groups that fall under NACES for evaluation of your transcript. When they have evaluated it, you now tell them where they're going to send it. So your evaluated transcript will now be sent. They'll ask you, what are you using it for? Is it to get a job or is it to be certified? You fill it in and they will send it to the address. Of course, you're not the one sending it because it would not be valid if you're the one sending it directly to the certification group. It's got to be them that will send it. And of course, it's got to be your institution that sends them the transcript in the first place for them to evaluate. So your institution will send it to them directly.
It's similar to having a school admission too, because they need to evaluate your transcript, for you to be admitted into any school. Most of the schools,
of course. Of course.
Ms. Duruaku, is so nice speaking with you.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean, I have learned a lot from you, and I believe most of our viewers also, especially those in the teaching profession who lost the ambition of traveling out here to pursue their dreams. I mean, I believe they've all also, they'll be learning a lot after listening to this this video, and I believe they'll also want to reach out to you, so in case I come calling again, that yeah, you have a lot of fans, so thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I know
You're
you have
welcome.
another engagement after this, so I really don't want to keep you beyond your time, but please, when next we invite you, I hope you will be coming back to share some more stories with us. So thank you so very much. Thank you everyone for all
You're welcome.
your thoughts. Thank you for stopping by to listen to our stories from Diaspora. And please don't forget to share our story with others and also subscribe to our channels. Thank you. Until we see you next time, and God bless you.
God bless you too.